Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So, last week I got in touch with John Macaluso. If you don't know who he is, he's known for his work as a session drummer and he has played with some of the best musicians out there, like Malmsteen, James Labrie, Symphony X. I mean, we're talking about names like that. So, don't miss this one out. You don't get to hang out with people like this every day. He has a lot of interesting stories and a lot of experience to share. Grab a drink, sit with us, and enjoy. You ready? Let's go for it.
Pronto.
So we are online hanging out with John Macaluso. Like I said, I wanted this to be unscripted, but my memory isn't the best. So yeah,
You're getting old, man. You're getting
bear with
old.
me and my purple pen and stuff. But yeah, anyways, for those who don't know, John is a session drummer. He does it all. He's played with I don't know, a countless, a long list of people. I think you can do a better job of introducing yourself. What do you do?
Hello, John Macaluso here. I'm from New York. I've lived in Italia here for maybe 10 years, maybe longer. Facebook says longer, but I don't believe them. Yeah, I mean, some bands I played with and recorded with. Yngwie, Malmsteen, Arc, Jennifer Batten, James Labrie, Symphony X, Michael Romeo, George Lynch, Uli John Roth, Joe Lynn Turner, Power Mad, TNT, Starbreaker,
All the greats.
a lot of different styles of music, not only rock and metal. You know, I've done a session with KRS-One. He's a huge rapper. He's like a legendary rapper.
I've heard that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so all styles of music. You know, with KRS, it was like a weird session because we went in and I had a drum set. I start playing, and as I'm playing, he's coming in and taking pieces of the drum set away.
But why would you do that?
That's what I said. So I got my snare. It came down to a snare, a kick, a cymbal, and a hi-hat. And then he play the song. I'm playing the song, and he comes in and he takes away my hi-hat. Now it's me with a snare drum and a kick drum and a cymbal. I go, what's happening here? We're gonna program the hi-hat to make it sound really electronic style.
All right.
But I want the real feel. So we're going to use kick and snare. And it was very, very difficult to have one hand and you're playing these songs, just doing like this. In the end, it came out great because what the guy did, my drums were on time. I nailed the click. And afterwards, he put in like a computer hi-hat.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Do you like to work that way with
it difficile.
Yeah.
Molto difficile.
But do you like the idea of having a programmed hi-hat on the track?
After I heard it, yeah.
Okay.
But it's not easy
So
to
you
play.
didn't get the idea at first, but then...
Yeah, I mean, it made me come up with new ideas. Like, if you look at Phil Collins, the stuff Phil Collins recorded on the Peter Gabriel albums with no cymbals. Salisbury Hill, many songs. So he does the caphony fill, and there's nothing, you know, but it gave you this like kind of earthy, organic sound, riding on the floor tom. So all this stuff through experience that I thought was crazy, like no hi-hat, what is that about? Now I think it's genius.
Yeah.
Because what it did, it made me have a computer feel, but the song was real drums.
Yeah, it still felt.
Yeah, so there was like a groove in there instead of. So I mean, you live and you learn. Nothing's wrong and nothing's stupid.
Yeah, that's
you know,
that's great way of thinking. I did a gig like I think it was 1 month ago with this guy that I met. But yeah, he came at the gig with just one floor tom.
No kick and snare.
Yeah, he didn't have the other toms. He had everything else, but no toms, just a floor tom. And I thought, how the hell is he going to do all the fills, you know, because you don't have much variety. But I was really surprised because even with one floor tom, you can do, you know, if you heard it from, you know, without watching, it still felt really organic and
I love
didn't
doing
lack
it.
anything.
It forces you to be disciplined. And you don't do the caphony everywhere.
Yeah.
The floor tom and the snare only, or sometimes only hi-hat and snare, the groove is always going.
Yeah.
So fills can mess people up sometimes. So I think it's cool what the guy did. It forces you to create, and it forces you to play more groove, more beat, instead of doing the fills, you know?
Yeah, you should meet this guy because really great drummer. Yeah, he works with great people, and he does mastering. So maybe
Okay.
I'll get you two in touch.
Cool.
Also, you are endorsing a lot of stuff, right?
Endorsing, I endorse Peisty cymbals, Promark sticks, and Evans drum heads. As far as drums, I have 2 custom drum sets made for me, but now I'm going to look for a major endorsement.
What's special about those custom drums that you got?
These days, it's crazy. You can pick the wood you want. There could be 2 different woods together. You could get Babinga and
they can stack them on top of each
yeah,
other, right?
yeah. So I mean, it's the custom kits let you get your own sizes, your own color. The only problem is when you go to do like a drum festival or something, it's better to be sponsored by someone.
Yeah.
So it's cool to have exactly what you want, but a real endorsement is better if you have a great endorsement, But anything sounds good these days.
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
I think that technology really leveled every company,
Exactly.
I mean, they're doing pretty much a good job, and I think everyone is doing pretty much a good job.
In the end, it's about the drummer.
Yeah.
You're tuning and the drummer.
Yeah.
Tuning is important for studio people and drummers. I think drum lesson number 3 should be tuning your drums, because everybody buys these expensive kits. They come from Japan or China, and they come with these really bad drum heads, like so thin. It's only for show. First thing you got to do is change the drum heads. Then you have to learn how to tune the damn drums. And so many drummers cannot tune at all. I tune to the tarantella. It works. It's a fourth. So it totally works. But tuning is super important, and the drum heads are super important.
Do you change them often? I mean, you want fresh drum heads all the time. Yeah.
Every album I change, because there's a point, like if you change the head and you do a session, and you got maybe 4 days. In the second day, at the end of the second day, the head, we say seeds. It starts to really sound like the way it should be.
Oh yeah, it's like the strings. You put them on, but they need like 2 or 3 days to really sound like.
You got to give it time, and I mean drum head, and as a drummer, the bottom head is like a mystery to people. A lot of drummers don't know what to do with the bottom head. The bottom head is the length of your drums. So if I'm going to go super, super, super tight, it's a jazz thing. Right? It's like dong.
Yeah.
If you go loose, I like it tight on the bottom, but really loose on top. So you have attack, and then the length still goes doom. That's what I like.
Okay, so I'm not an expert about tuning the drums, obviously. I'm not a drummer. Yeah. But I'll try to learn from what you're saying.
And miking is super important.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in the studio, I need 2 snare mics. It's just the way to be. So I got one on top, gets the attack. And then the one on the bottom, the springs, that's like your dirt and the fatness.
Yeah, the real element of the drums,
you need that. And then I started to mic the bass drum with 2 mics. I got one outside.
Yeah, for the attack, right?
Yeah, no. Okay.
No, you get the one for the attack. It's
exactly
in front, and
the one on the outside, you keep that 70s feel.
Yeah.
But the attack of a modern sound. So I don't like to go. I like to play really dynamic. So if you use 2 mics, you're going to have those little ghost notes, and you're going to have the major kick. So
you can blend them together and
exactly
have the attack when you need it, and have the fullness when you need it.
Attack is super important.
That's great.
But you'd be surprised, man. Miking the drum kit. Here's another thing. There should be a course for everyone who plays drums about miking the drum set. In my opinion, not only the phonical.
Something that I do when I for example, I'm explaining bass stuff to anybody. One of the first things that I do is explain the importance of the position of the right hand, because the sound changes a lot even if you move.
Moving from here to here.
Yeah, if you move horizontally with your right hand, the sound is totally different, and the attack is different.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's reminds me of that. There's these little things that if you know about them, you can really control your sound and get what you want. And not leave it to the chance.
This is so important. Like how many albums I've done where I left the studio. For example, the second Yngwie Malmsteen album I recorded. I recorded Alchemy, which is great. And then this album called War to End All Wars. When I recorded it, I left the studio thinking, wow, this is modern drummer cover. This is going to be the best album of my life. When I got it in the mail, I almost had a heart attack. I don't know who mixed it, but for example, I had 4 toms.
Yeah.
And 2 floor toms. What happened on the album? The third tom is out. Mic is not even on. So it's like dun dun, silence, dun dun. That's not cool when you're doing a cool fill. Things like that. And then it was just such a bad mix, and it was such a great album. But as a session guy, you're never safe. Because you're going to record and you have no control. You get paid, you leave, and you get it in the mail.
What's going to happen after that.
You get it in the mail. I remember so many times I've been in the car, I'm like, oh, the album's finally here. Because albums take over a year. Like, I forget what I recorded.
I think it's pretty scary because you record something and you don't know what's going to turn out like for a year. I mean,
exactly.
To me, it's a bit scary because you don't know. It's like a part of you is going to think, I don't know, maybe they put it out there and it's didn't turn out great.
Well, that's what happened.
Or it didn't turn out the way I wanted it.
Yeah. I mean, it happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, okay, I'll tell you something. I call it Frisbee. You know the Frisbee?
Yeah.
Sometimes I get that CD in the mail. Finally, it's here. I go in the car, I pop it in, I take a drive.
Frisbee time.
And I hear instant Frisbee. I'm like, watch out.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I've done some works in the past that like I didn't like how they turned out. I didn't even keep them. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, as a session guy, there's nothing you can do because the argument is we paid you, but I'm too passionate. The money is one thing, but don't destroy me. Make me sound better. I mean, that's the point. And no, but I mean, fortunately now, I'm getting calls where people say, play like you.
Yeah.
And, you know, as far as the mix, you have no control. But the cool thing is now people kind of hiring me for my sound. Like I got a particular snare sound. So I talked to them first. I said, can I kind of go for my sound when we record your stuff? Yeah, go for it. It used to be like, just give it to my engineer and leave it up to him. So at least now also levels.
At least some level of control.
Yeah. And I give him like a rough mix. And I say, this is very important. Do what you want to the sound, but listen to the level. My toms are level with my kick. So if I do a fill, it's
they have to sound pretty much even, right?
It's like one drum.
Yeah.
Many times I've recorded and it's like silence, foot. And again,
it's not what you have in your mind. It's not your musical idea. And
session work is not easy.
You were also talking about drum quantizing. Yeah.
The talent button.
Yeah.
The talent button.
So you like to leave your drums unquantized every time.
Here's the thing. Metal. Okay, I record a lot of prog and metal, even though I've done hip hop and I've done spacey music, I've done drum and bass, but I get called for the prog and metal stuff. The thing is, when you're doing the prog and metal, the new way, unfortunately, they want to have everything quantized. Instantly, I say to them, are you going to quantize this? No. Okay, because it's better for me to do track after track after track until I get a nail in the click and it's got a real feel, but it's on time. And the problem with metal now, metal has become the new dance music. It's all fake. It's all processed. It's all quantized. And I'm trying to hold the flag, march with the flag, saying you don't need to do that. You just need a good drummer to play on time. And I think a younger generation, they took advantage of the tools that were used to fix the bad drummer. Pro Tools, quantization. This was meant because studio time is money. Now it became a standard, and it's a bad standard because it's like a dance album.
This is the drum side of things, but like I was thinking about the fact that even guitar sounds got worse, in my opinion. I mean, in the 80s, there were, I don't know if you like this band, but like I like the production on albums of bands like Breaking Benjamin, Linkin Park, stuff like that. And the guitar sounds were like really full and you could really hear the note that's being played. Nowadays, you only hear this on top of the guitar and you can't hear the note and the body. And I think that even the drums became a little bit too clicky, you know?
Well, with those bands?
No, the new ones.
No, with those bands, that's a perfect example of taking Stephen Slate drum samples because it's all the same sound.
Yeah, but nowadays it's even worse. I mean,
Oh,
I hear the drums are like super clicky,
Hey.
and it just pierces my ear. I don't know. I
Nah,
don't like
me
it.
too, me too. When you're playing okay, that could be cool for fast grooves. If you're doing that click is cool. But if I'm gonna do the tempo of Kashmir, Led Zeppelin, you can't go dum, dum, dum. There has to be the dirt. And the way to get the dirt in the studio, one room mic, but it's better to have two.
Yeah.
And in the end, I think the room mic is the most important thing.
Yes, I was studying some.
It's the real drummer.
Yes, I was studying some Led Zeppelin mix, and they were talking about this thing. They really emphasize the drum sound, the room sound. Sorry.
Big time. Big
Yeah,
time.
they really compress it and make it very audible, and that's how you get that really dirty drum sound. That's really cool.
I'll tell you a quick story. Speaking of Led Zeppelin, the first Malmsteen album I did is called Alchemy. And we went in a studio called Criteria in Florida. It's where they did Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath. So when I walked in, I knew that. And I asked the owner of the studio, where did they set up to do Heaven and Hell? Right there. I put the drums exactly in the space. And the phonical, the engineer was Chris Tangrides. He's dead now, a great guy, a great friend. Chris did like Thin Lizzy. He did like, he's the one who brought the band Anvil back. You know what I mean? He's done Painkiller, Judas Priest. Like he was like assistant engineer and engineer on so many albums. When I got together with him, I was like, I heard you worked with Led Zeppelin. Is that possible? He's an English guy. He says when he was young, he was a runner. A runner is a guy who goes and gets the bagels and the coffee and for the band, pretty much. So he's like an assistant engineer. So I'm in the studio and I said, did you see how Bonham mic'd the kit? Imagine this. This is you're going into history with someone who's been there. I go, can you mic my drums the way they did it? He goes, okay, mate. And he just showed me. Yngwie would have never put up with it because Yngwie doesn't like Zeppelin and he wants to hear everything, you know, So he showed me there was one room mic in front. This is what he told me. He was witnessing what Zeppelin did. One room mic up front. The other mic was behind the second floor tom. Don't ask me why. We tried it. It sounded horrible because I'm not John Bonham.
Yeah.
And I'm not tuning like or hitting like him. But I'm like, isn't that weird? Like why? The thing I think is they put it behind the second floor tom to get that rumble.
This makes me think about those situations in which someone wants to imitate something that has been done in the past, but it is impossible to replicate because obviously it was a different time. You had different player, different instruments,
equipment,
different engineer. Yeah. I mean, and even I think art is a result of a certain moment in society, right? So you're not going to mix it the same way because the society is different, the times are different, you know. I feel like music goes much beyond the technical aspect and, that's what I mean.
Brilliant. And it's exactly why I don't like a lot of the modern metal stuff. Led Zeppelin was a moment in time when they recorded, let's just say Kashmir. When you listen to Kashmir today, there's still mystery because it was real. And it was that moment in time when they actually did that. I think that's brilliant.
If you did it today, it wouldn't feel the same.
Yeah, and of course not. But the brilliance is you're in the room with the guy. That's what a room mic can do.
Yeah.
What happened with the metal thing, I can't listen to a full metal album twice because once you listen to it, the mystery is gone. You heard the record. You know, what are you going to get the next time? You know what I'm talking about? It's an experience.
Yeah.
So when they press that talent button, which is the quantize button, you just took away all the feel and the mystery out of the song. It's kind of having like a Madonna album, but metal because everything is programmed sounding.
Yeah. Part of that, I think, is happening because I don't think that many people are able to really nail the part in studio nowadays because back then you didn't have much chance to edit the tracks. So you really had to be a good drummer. But nowadays you can get away with it if you are not so good. And that's why I don't think we get many musicians who are able to really nail the part without the editing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What you just said is brilliant because most of my work in the 80s and the early 90s, is what they call a ghost drummer. I played on over 200 albums that I know, but then the stuff I forgot about, or they called me. They put your name in the credits after like Joe's Pizzeria.
And you remember? Oh yeah, right. I did that.
Yeah. But the thing is, they, how could I say this? They sorry here.
Yeah, no problem.
I had a point. So 200 albums I've recorded that are out, released, that I know. But there was a lot of session work. And in those days, they called it a ghost drummer because it was recorded on reel-to-reel. You couldn't punch. If you wanted to punch, it was better to redo the track.
Yeah.
Because to punch something...
You had to be extremely precise.
The engineer would have to take it off. It's brilliant the way they did it. He would take the tape off. He would mark it with a pencil, cut it. Yeah. He would say, go to lunch and be back in a half hour. It's better to just do the thing again. So...
because
a lot of
you also pay for the studio time, right? So
this is why Pro Tools was invented, to save money. Because the drummers, the ghost drummer, I would get hired to play on your album because I was good with a click track. And you had to play, if it's a 13-minute song, I got to play 13 minutes. I got to go from here to here. So unless the band is super tight, a lot of drummers were not used to the click, and they would get nervous. So they would call me. I would come in, record the stuff. They put his name. And like I said, somewhere they're going to write, thank you, John Macaluso, but it's not as the drummer. So you get paid to shut up.
Yeah, about that.
But that's why the stuff was invented.
Yeah.
Pro Tools. We got to save money. The drummer's not good enough. Boom, put him in line. But now with Auto-Tune and Pro Tools and Cubase and Quantize, they took advantage of a tool. And now it became standard. So a long story short, metal should take that thing off and play it live, rehearse.
But about that, I was thinking about the fact that I was reading that many drummers, when a band got their first deal with a label, for example, the first person to get fired was the drummer because they weren't able to nail the part in studio, and actually the drums are the fundamentals of a song. So
it's foundation.
So I was reading that when a band got a record deal, the drummer was so scared because he was going to get fired most of the time.
Big time, and thank God for that, because I made a living through my life. You know? But
so thanks for getting fired.
Thank you guys. I mean, no, but it's true. Another thing is, like, since you couldn't, in the old days, since you can punch, but it took a long time. Since you couldn't punch, you had to get used to you had to be able to play that take from beginning to end with energy and no mistakes. So I would write charts, but not years of music school. I never wrote 1 and 2 and 3. I wrote like alligator, tiger, new. I would do animals, or I would do watermelon, apple, pear.
That's interesting.
I would just draw a watermelon. So you can see the watermelon from across.
And you would think about the syllables.
Notes.
Oh yeah.
Just draw a watermelon, because you're playing fast, and you're in the studio. It's not easy to read.
I couldn't do that. That would make me angry, and wouldn't work for me. But that's the point. I mean, we must find our own method, right?
Exactly.
What works for us. I mean, it worked for you, and that's fine. Sometimes in music schools, I got criticized because I had my own method. I have maybe my own symbol on the music sheet, right? And they didn't like it, but I was like, it works for me. It makes me play better. Why can't I do it? So I think they're becoming a little bit too strict sometimes, even though music schools have improved a lot.
Yeah, I mean, another thing, being a studio guy, everybody's a producer today. Everybody's got a home studio.
Yeah.
So no matter how much experience they have,
Guilty.
They all talk like, and they all insult the other engineer. I record here with my engineer. I send it to France or whatever. And then their engineer says, I can't work like this because this is so different than, this is recorded badly.
Heard it many times.
And then it was recorded
It's
great.
just different.
It's just different.
I mean, I think good part of the mix is just taste. I mean,
exactly.
Because mixing is about techniques. It's about tools. But it's about having musical taste. And here, right?
It's taste.
Mine is going to be different from anyone else's. And, it's about taste.
Embrace originality. You know what I mean? I just saw they're redoing The Exorcist again. How many times you got to do The Exorcist? How are you going to make it scarier than The Exorcist? You know what I mean? So
yeah, because I mean, nowadays you have to really get extreme with things because people are exposed to a lot of extreme stuff, so they became tolerant to it.
So true.
Yeah, so
true.
that's another reason why I think albums are being mixed the way they are being mixed, because people need something so extreme. Otherwise, you can't grab people's attention without that.
You know what grabs their attention now? Live feel. Because
You go back to the basics.
But they think it's wrong. It sounds sloppy. They would listen to the Rolling Stones and say, this is sloppy, even though it sold 20 million copies of that one song. You know, this is sloppy. So the generation has gotten used to this perfection. Here's the problem. I don't know how good someone is. People all the time are sending me, check out this drummer. He's 13 years old.
You don't know if it's been edited or...
Perfect groove, perfect everything. But he probably went into the studio, he did his track, and then they put the talent button again. Everything went perfect with the talent button.
Talent button.
Play it, have it live, man. You know, bring back that live thing.
All right, so let's make this point clear. Bring the live back.
Bring it back, because there's mystery. There's mystery, and music is about experience, and you have to experience. Every time I listen, I want to experience something. I'm still like, I listened to Led Zeppelin, the album Presence, the other day. And okay, I know everything that's on it, but sometimes there might be a feel or something that sways a little bit. And every time you listen, it's a little bit different. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, but I think I have high hopes about this, because
Me too.
if you think about it, even in history, right? When we went for one extreme, then at some point we had to go back to something else. And I think that we reached a point in which metal music is so extreme.
Yeah.
You can't make it more extreme than
And
that.
what are you gonna do?
So you have to go back in some way. So I think it's just it's just a phase. It's going to go away.
Totally agree. I mean, I hope it comes back in that way. Speaking of mixing, I'm not being I'm not being an idiot for saying this. I'm not trying to be rude, but making a living at music, I'm going to record something. If the band is horrible, I have to say no, I can't do it. But most of the stuff, I feel the drums can change it. So if I do a great drum track, it might help your thing. But the mix is different. So when I get a mix, I talk about the Frisbee. Before the Frisbee, if I record something and I know it's just not going to come out good, the singer's horrible, or the the phonical has no experience, you walk away and you kind of realize, okay, it's like playing a wedding band. I just made some money. That's okay. The problem is when it's something really bad, I don't want my name on it. So what I do, this is crazy, but it's true, and it's on many records, I have a fake name. I got John Macaluso is me, but if I'm going to record something where I know it's a disaster, or the phonical is just terrible, the engineer, I give a fake name. It's Macon D Records. Macon the Records. Macon, like a Southern American, that's the name. D with a period, Records, Rekitz.
Yeah, I had one.
Macon the Records.
I had one fake name, but it was just for fun, joking around with my sister.
Yeah.
It was like Justin Case.
Just in case.
Just, we're having a laugh.
That's Yngwie's name when he goes into hotels.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a thing between
just in
musicians.
case. So like if I want to get in touch with him, I'm like, could you connect me with Mr. Case?
Yeah.
That's his name when he goes into a hotel.
Yeah, it's like a code.
Exactly.
But, oh my God.
We're talking about mixing. We were talking about mixing.
Yeah, I forgot this idea that I had. So when a band is really bad, do you think it's fair to tell them, or do you not say it?
Big time. I don't say you're really bad, but I'm like...
Because, in my opinion, when you tell them that they are bad, you are helping them, right? Because you are giving them the chance to improve.
After they say, fuck you, see. After they say, you don't know, who are you to tell me, blah, 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 blah. They go back and they start thinking, wait a minute. The guy's done this many records. Why is he saying that we don't sound good at all?
But there's some middle ground. Like, you can't go to someone and tell him, you are so bad, But you can say it in a good way that really helps him understand that you're trying to do what's best for him, right?
99% of the people, I see it all over. You were great, and the guy was horrible. This is the best.
It's not good for them. It's not good.
You know you did a bad gig when your friend comes up to you and you say, how was the gig? And he goes, you looked really good up there. You look good.
What do you think about that guitar player? He's a nice guy.
Cool hair. I love that guitar. You know.
Yeah, that's a bad gig.
Yeah. No, but honestly, I'm with you, man. I mean, life is too short. I'm not going to be like, you guys are great. I try to help them. Like a lot of drummers around here, they all play great. But they miss the point of like, you don't have to be loud, but hit the drums.
Yeah, what's the point?
Hit the drums.
When you're playing drums, what's the point? I mean, what do you want to get across at all costs?
First, feel. I want it to feel good. And you don't know that until you listen back. So you can make this track, you think you're kicking, and you listen back, and you got the click, and you're nailing the click. But when you take that click off, sometimes you sound like this, tuck, 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 and you're like, I thought it was such a groove. I was dead on with the click. So my solution, after all these years of recording, I pull the snare drum behind the beat. So the kick is on, the snare drum is behind the groove, because you can't pull your whole body back. You got to think of one limb at a time. Dun, dun, boom, dun. I pull the snare drum a little bit behind the click.
Do you play a little bit behind the click?
Only with the snare.
In my experience, tell me if I'm right, it sounds bigger when you play it a little bit behind the click.
It sounds bigger because you can get it fatter. But a great point is it feels better. The singer doesn't have to spit the words out. He's not rushing.
He has the time to really express the message.
So behind the click with the snare, the bass drum will be dead on click. The hi-hat is the glue.
Yeah.
The hi-hat is going to connect the lazy snare and the on kick. And that's why the hi-hat is one of the most important things of a drum groove. Metal doesn't even hear the hi-hat these days. Or the cymbals.
Or is it so bright you just don't want to hear it?
But the hi-hat, this is going to drive the song. And there's so many ways to play it. AC/DC, without that hi-hat, the way he plays it, you will not be grooving like that. So my point is, even if you look at everything on the timeline, say you're in Cubase, and you're looking at the wave, and it looks like a fishbone. So it's perfect. But taking off the click, it might be perfect, but it's stiff.
It doesn't feel right.
So sometimes I'll only take the snare track alone, right? Just the snare track, and I tell my engineer, just pull it behind the click. So it's that little bit, you can't hear it, but you can feel it. So now the groove went from dum da dum to dum da dum da dum. There's a little, because the snare drum is super important. In the old days when you heard like Elvis, rock into the jailhouse rock, down, down, ga, ga. You couldn't hear the kick, you couldn't hear the hat, because it was done in one room.
Yeah.
You only heard the snare. The snare is the thing that moves the body. So that I experiment with the snare. For punk, I'll play a little above, a little bit avanti the click, a little bit before the click. Because it pushes you. It's a punk song.
Yeah, it makes it feel rushed, even if it's not really rushed.
Like ska music, you play ska or you play something. Actually, that snare drum is pushing you to dance. So, hi-hat and
but
snare.
when it's behind, it feels like it's fuller. It's good for rock and stuff like that, right?
More relaxing even when it's intense, because if something's like and you're ahead, everybody loses it.
Because everyone starts playing ahead and then
that's another thing. Now, another way of recording today, which is not easy for a session drummer, everybody's got a home studio, so they make their album's done with a drum machine. They send you the tracks, they take off the machine, and they say, okay, play now. Okay, this is not easy, because now it's the reverse of the way records should be made. No matter, your whole band
it's like you have to adjust
play to the drummer.
Else.
But now it's not play to the drummer. My album is done, play on my album. Now, okay, if they're all quantized, it's easy, but that's usually not the case. So sometimes the bassist is going like this, a little guitar player. I'm the one now, I got to get in there and make it sound like the drums were done first. Not easy, man. That's why it's so super important to know different ways to play to a click. On, behind, ahead. It's really important.
So is that the biggest challenge when you are recording something nowadays? Like to be able to approach it in a different way?
The biggest challenge, I don't want to name the guy, but he is from Italy, and this is the craziest experience I've ever had in a studio. I record all the drums in my studio. His demo was a demo. I thought it was like this. I mean, there were sections where the guitar player was like 2/16 notes ahead of the beat, and then he would come in time, and I'm like,
that's terrible.
I'm like, okay, no problem. Just lower the music and give me the click. I tell my engineer. I start playing. great take. Send him the stuff. I don't hear from the guy for a while. And then I get a mail. He goes, John, check this out. The intro, my drums go like this. Dun, dun, da, 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 dun, da,
He
dun, da,
quantized
da.
it and placed the
No,
things.
the opposite.
What did he do?
He took his original demo, which I thought was a demo. That was his album, the guitar like this. And he cut my drums to go with his guitar.
Oh my God.
So now, if you take off the click, you're hearing this guitar going dun 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 dun, dun and my drums are going dun 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 dun. Dun.
I think you know.
I almost lost my mind.
Yeah, I think you know. I know who you're talking about, but we won't say the name. But
Well,
I
wherever
think I get it.
we had it out on the telephone. Which means we had a big fight.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
I get it.
I'm like, you can't put this out. Here's the problem with being a session player. Okay, give me my money
You
back.
got paid.
Give
Yeah.
me my money back. I'm like, my dog's got to eat. No.
Like that's another thing. Do you try to choose who to work with as much as possible because
Now,
of
yeah.
this reason?
Now, yeah.
Because I would hate that. I mean,
Right when you think you've heard everything or everything has happened to you,
something new
like this,
is
and
gonna happen.
and the record company dropped him
Mm-hmm.
because the record company guy, the guy's a guitar player, the owner, and he's like, "Wait a minute, you cut the drums to go with your guitar? Your guitar?" Even the record
And I
company
mean-
guy said, "I thought you were going to record it over to John." No, this is done.
And it's not like he cut the drums from, a player who's not a professional, so you cut the drums and it's not a big deal. But you have tons of experience and, he took a liberty that he shouldn't have taken.
He cut the drums to be wrong.
Yeah.
So if you took away the guitar now and just soloed my drum track,
It
who the
sucks.
hell's going to hire me?
Yeah, man.
I go, wait, you hear what Macaluso did?
I think that's the
horrible.
problem. You need to find, I think, in my opinion, you need to find the right balance between humbling yourself to a level where you are approachable, but at the same time, not mess it up that way. Because
You gotta be careful.
I love the fact that you are extremely approachable. Like, even the fact that after 10 years I got in touch with you, it's because you are easygoing, right? If you had created distance, it would have been hard for me to get in touch, right? And so that's great because it gets you more work. And actually, I think it makes you look like you haven't lost your mind, and you're still humble and you're still a person. And I think that's extremely important. But but at the same time, it's hard to balance it because sometimes
Thank you. No.
Yeah, nice. But what was that for?
This is a payment in Italia. This
Oh
is
yeah,
this
it's
is
like money,
speech.
right? Yeah. But
Yeah, but thank you for that. Thank you.
it's but it's like sometimes it's hard to balance it because you end up doing work for people who aren't going to fully appreciate it. And I will be totally honest with you because I like to be honest with people. We're having a conversation here. When we first met and we had played that clinic together, right? And I realized years later that I was a little bit too young to fully appreciate it. I mean, back then I was having a lot of fun, and of course I was thankful and we had tons of fun, but I didn't fully realize how big it was because at the end of the day, we can be sitting at the same table and whatever you want, but you played with, you are known internationally, you have done so much more work than I did. And the fact that you were, hanging around with me when I was like 18 and, in some way I'm nobody, if I realized it years later. I mean,
I just had nowhere else to go.
Me too.
I'm joking.
Me too,
I'm
man.
joking.
Didn't know what to do that day. My friend was busy drinking. I don't know.
We had a blast. Remember
Yeah.
the Bitch 9000?
Oh my
The
God.
mythical double
I
pedal?
can't find the video, but
We
that
were going
was
to market it.
best advertising pedal. I mean, best advertising for pedal. So sorry if I stumble on my words sometimes. It's just apart from the fact that I'm happy being here, but I've noticed that it's a thing that I have lately. Sometimes I just stumble with words. It happens to me.
We had a blast, man.
Yeah, man.
We had
It
a
was great.
blast. It's important. I work with a lot of great people, and I work with a lot of famous people who are not great people. And you don't know until you really, everybody has this thing on Facebook, rock star. Wow, look at me, I play for all these people. Then you meet them. The ones who are really successful are super cool. Jennifer Batten.
And probably
she's better than anyone, and she's the biggest female guitarist on the planet. Michael Jackson, Jeff Beck. One of my best friends.
And I think
Super
the
cool.
great ones are those that are those who, when you meet them, they are pretty much the same.
Hey.
Compared to what they put online. I mean, I have met many people who looked in a certain way online, but then you meet them.
Oh my God.
I don't like it.
It's the story of my life.
That's why I told you that thing because
I appreciate it.
Because I like to be transparent and.
You gotta be, man.
But I grew up from that because I will add on top of that the fact that I was a little bit too young to even keep my my head leveled, because I was like, okay, I've been playing bass for 2 years, and I am on
2
stage.
years?
Yeah, I have been playing. I was on stage with you, and I was like, it's like I didn't work too much for it. Okay. I will be honest with you. And, I had to grow up from that experience a lot. I think I've gone, a long way from that.
I mean, you kicked that, how old were you, 18 at the time?
Yeah, I mean, I was too young for that experience, I'll tell you that.
But you played great.
But yeah.
I always said that.
But yeah, anyways, really thinking about it years later, it's been great.
What year was that?
Thankful for that.
2013?
It was 2010 or 12.
2012. Yeah. I came here in 2011 or something.
Yeah. I remember you just came here from Rome, right?
Exactly. No, from Sardinia, because Sardinia is a crazy place because it's like thousands of drummers on this island where you could go through the whole island in 3 hours, and there's like drum schools everywhere and drummers. So I had a friend who owned a school, and I was always in Sardinia doing clinics here, teaching here, and then. I've only been to Italy to play at the time. I was never like living here, so I really didn't see anything. And I flew over here, and I stayed in Torino. I met somebody, and that's the thing. I came to Italy, and I never left. Life is funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Here we have a chill way of living.
Yeah.
We are much more relaxed. But in some ways, I don't like it because, I mean, sometimes we party a little bit too much.
See, it's good and bad. Like, I'm from New York, and at this age, I can't go back to New York
and stressful. It's stressful. Hey. But I think in some ways, I don't like it when it's too relaxed.
Nah, exactly. You got to pump.
Like when I was here in Rieti, I left. But when I was here, it was hard to keep myself motivated to grow.
It's too quiet.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit too quiet for me,
No, I agree. Like, Scandinavia... Those guys got money and they got help if they need it. You could just, I'm sorry, Scandinavians, I lived in Sweden and Norway. But the thing is, they're also good too. They're great musicians. It's too cold to go out, so they got to practice all day. But they're great musicians. There's one thing that lacks. The thing that lacks is that, if I want to make a record, I'm like, dude, we got to be done with this in a month. They're like, 8 months because... They don't have to rush as much as being you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a comfort thing there.
Yeah.
I don't want that comfort thing because then I might be in bed still, and it's 5:15.
Yeah. But how did you find your balance here? Because obviously you're living here now.
My beautiful
right?
wife and my dog and my cats. I mean, basically, I call it the couch tour.
So she got you and.
No, I mean, when I was first here, I went to Torino, and then I met you guys, and I was in Rome, and then Rieti, and after a while, I loved the country. I started to live here, and I met Manu, my wife, and then we got this place to live, and the dog and the cats, and it's something I never expected, because at the time I was like, I'm going to be a sailor without a ship, bringing my doppio pedale around, double pedal drumsticks.
The 800 one.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's the new model.
Oh, they are.
But I mean, just traveling around. I called it the couch tour. In the beginning, I would find a friend that would stay on his couch. I would get a hotel that night. I'd be on a tour bus. And one day, I realized, wow, I'm living here. And then Facebook tells me it's 12 years or something. I'm like, that's impossible.
How did that happen? You're lying to me.
Yeah, so basically,
Mark Zuckerberg, you're lying to me.
You're lying to me. Yeah, but I mean, so life is funny because, like I said, I came here and I just never left. And I miss New York. I miss America. But also...
do you think you're going to stay here now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be here. I want to get a house so we could have a garden for the dog to run and then have a studio in the back. Like, I want to be able to wake up and play in 3 and play at 3 in the morning.
Like we were saying on call the other day, I like the freedom Because sometimes you get creative in the night. Does it happen to you?
Big time. That's the time.
I wake up at 3 a.m. and I get this idea and I want to test it, and I like the idea of being able to do that at 3 a.m. if I want to.
It's weird when you look at the clock and it's 2:30 and I'm like, oh, it's early. 2:30 in the morning. I mean, because I'm up at night doing all my stuff.
So do you still stay up until late night?
I got my drum pad in there. Every night I shut the door so no one can hear it. And my neighbor is Giuseppe Garibaldi. He's not around anymore. Giuseppe. So, I play on the pad, and then I'll do stuff like I'm doing a new drum book, so I'm working on my drum book. The nighttime is like the time, which is weird because when I first came to Italy, as much as I loved it, one thing I hated was every session I did, they're like, John, we're going to start tomorrow, not so early, maybe like 9. And I'm like, after dinner, 9. No, 9 in the morning. In America, we never recorded at 9 in the morning. In America, like I'm going into the studio at 5 in the afternoon and I'm going to play till 1 in the morning. So it's complete opposite thing. And I would even get angry. I'm like, let's at least make it 10. Can we negotiate this? Because it's not easy to wake up and rock double bass at 10 in the morning.
Yeah, it's like trying to sing early in the morning.
Yeah, but I mean, is it always that way? Has it always been that way here? Like, everything is so early with the musicians.
Well, at least for my experience, yeah. I've never been recording in the night. No, I haven't. Only on my stuff at home.
Yeah.
I'm one of these guys who got the home studio. I'm sorry, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's my only complaint about Italia. There's a lot of great things about it.
Yeah, man.
But
It's good and bad, everywhere. It's just different. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different place.
I relate to it more because, like, my grandmother and my grandfather, everybody was from Sicily. So the food and the culture and the whole thing, I kind of grew up with it. So I lived in France. I lived in Norway, Sweden, Belgium, England. I felt like a foreigner. Here, at least, I'm a foreigner, but I feel more connected with the customs and the, because I grew up the same, but there was an ocean between, you know what I mean? Like my grandmother cooked the same lasagna and spoke the same thing, you know what I mean? It's so culturally.
Well, you've seen music changing also, right?
Music?
Music's been changing also,
Big
right?
time.
Big time. Do you like the way it's changed? Or is it just like, it's just different?
You know what it is, man? When you look at the 80s, I was like, oh man, the 80s were great in the beginning, like at the Police and you got all these bands.
Yeah, but as we were saying, that's when the drum samples began being used and stuff.
Yeah, no, that was later. Like the 90s came and it was bands like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. They were still playing, you know what I mean? Only that really mechanical type thing happened maybe like, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or something like that, where everything became so perfect and, to me, stale. But yeah, music changed. But now I think there's some cool stuff.
I mean, the fact that you have a home studio, I mean, you would have had to spend 100 times more to do it in the past, right? So there's some advantages.
Well, I mean, when I got hired for a session, they would call me and I would say, okay, here's the fee. Everybody's cool. I make it comfortable. And now you got to pay for the studio for 5 days. Oh man, how much is that? Now, okay, I have a new studio. It's called Studio Mac 9000, and we only do drums, right?
Yeah.
It's an amazing drum sound. But the thing is, when I get called now, I cut the studio price off, and I got my studio. So basically, I just cut a big chunk of money off a session. So it's been good because people are comfortable paying it. Everybody's happy.
You can get more work. And you can get
and
more
I can
money.
choose also. I can choose. I don't need to do that now because, I can make a living doing this. So, so I mean, the studio is kicking.
About making a living, like, what does it take to make a living nowadays? What do you think?
I mean, I got to be honest with you. I mean, I look at it and I go, this is what I wanted to do since I was 11. So it's the same exact goal since I was 11. I knew what I was going to do, and I knew I had to work extra hard because I want to be the guy they call. You know what I mean? And right away, I was never like, I want to be as rich as Phil Collins. I wanted to play like him, but the whole business thing, I don't think any musician thinks about. They watch TV and like, I'm going to be that, but they don't know how to get to be that.
Yeah.
When real life kicks you in the ass and you have to make a living, then, that's when you realize, that's when you discover, I'm glad I learned how to play disco. I'm glad I learned how to play reggae because It's like a bag of tricks. You learned it, you forgot about it, but now you need it, use it. So to any student or musician, learn everything you can,
Yeah.
and then you could work more. But
Like I was saying before, I'll tell you more about it, more details about it. I was I was in a certain school. There was a student who was like at the 7th or 8th year there, and I said, let's play a blues. And he said, I don't play that kind of stuff. I mean, how can you be in a music school for 8 years and not play a blues?
It's like,
I was
I don't
like,
like
you
it.
can't be serious.
He's like, I don't like those songs. They depress me.
I mean, how can you be serious about being a musician?
What about what I was telling you about in Switzerland? It's a recording school, and I was showing them where to put the mics. And first, when we were going to get the microphones, I told one of the students, who's a second-year student, just, can you please put the drum set together? I come out, and the guy didn't know where to put the snare drum. He had it like next to the floor tom. I'm like, get your money back from this school. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, nobody, you know what the problem is? Electronic music or drum machines and quantization.
You can write it without
They weren't
saying
worried
it,
about the
right?
drums, so they never learned how to make a drum sound.
Like, is there
That's the problem, man.
is there one thing that you'd like to see in music schools? Like, they're doing a lot of stuff right.
What, in
you know,
music
some way.
schools?
Yeah, I think they're doing some stuff right, some stuff so and so. But is there one thing that you'd like to see in music schools nowadays?
Yeah, concentrate on recording. Because for example, what these guys learned in Switzerland was how to put samples on drums or how to quantize the drums. They're taking all the negative things about it and they're ruining it. Learn how to get a great drum sound, and then you might not have to do
Do
this.
you mind
and
if I
that.
put glasses?
Yes,
Because
yes,
I've got
yes.
light.
Yeah, man. Basically,
Oh, that's great. I don't like to have glasses because otherwise it seems like, I'm isolating myself. I mean, they say that, the sun shines on the good-looking people, but I think in this case, they got it wrong. So that was part one of the meeting that we had. We covered a lot of interesting stuff, and there's more to come. Part two is going to be up very soon. If you can see it around here, it's because it's been edited. But if you want to stay updated and be notified so you will know when it's up, I recommend you subscribe to the channel. If you want to get in touch with John, I'll leave some contacts here in the video description so you can talk to him directly and get some work done, which you won't regret. I'll see you in part two. Thanks for sticking around.